ExamPrep.School. Maryland Property and Casualty Insurance Producer Combo Exam. Exam code 20-32. There are 4 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Auto insurance, business owner's policy, commercial package policy, dwelling policy, general insurance, homeowner's policy, insurance regulation, other coverages and options, property and casualty insurance basics, workers' compensation insurance. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Which of the following is an eligibility requirement for an individual to obtain a resident producer license in Maryland? A. Submit a completed application and proof of financial responsibility. B. Be at least 21 and have 2 years of insurance industry experience. C. Hold a bachelor's degree in a relevant insurance-related field. D. Be at least 18 years old and a legal resident of Maryland. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is D. This option is correct because Maryland law requires that producer license applicants be at least 18 years of age and legal residents of the state. Reason A is not correct. Submitting an application and proof of financial responsibility is required but does not satisfy the age and residency eligibility criteria. Reason B is not correct. There is no requirement for 2 years of industry experience or a minimum age of 21 for resident licenses in Maryland. Reason C is not correct. Holding a bachelor's degree is not mandated for a producer license. Only age, residency, character, and exam requirements apply. Question 2. Under Maryland's reciprocal licensing provisions, a non-resident producer applicant must have been licensed in the home state for at least how long before qualifying for a Maryland non-resident license? A. At least 1 year of licensure in the home state. B. At least 6 months of licensure in the home state. C. At least 2 years of licensure in the home state. D. At least 3 years of licensure in the home state. The correct answer is A. This option is correct because Maryland requires non-resident reciprocity applicants to hold an active home state license for at least 1 year. Reason B is not correct. 6 months is shorter than the statutory minimum period for reciprocity eligibility. Reason C is not correct. 2 years exceeds the minimum duration required and is not mandated by Maryland law. Reason D is not correct. 3 years exceeds the required licensure period and is not part of the reciprocal licensing rule. Question 3. Producer licenses issued by the Maryland Insurance Administration remain in effect for which period before renewal is required? A. 2 years, biennial renewal cycle. B. 1 year, annual renewal cycle. C. 3 years, triennial renewal cycle. D. 4 years, quadrennial renewal cycle. The correct answer is A. This option is correct because producer licenses in Maryland are valid for a 2-year period and require renewal every biennium. Reason B is not correct. Licenses are not renewed on an annual basis in Maryland. Reason C is not correct. A 3-year term is not aligned with Maryland's biennial renewal requirement. Reason D is not correct. A 4-year term exceeds the renewal period mandated by Maryland law. Question 4. How many total continuing education credit hours must a producer complete during each renewal cycle in Maryland? A. 12 credit hours per renewal cycle. B. 24 credit hours per renewal cycle. C. 18 credit hours per renewal cycle. D. 30 credit hours per renewal cycle. The correct answer is B. This option is correct because Maryland requires producers to complete 24 continuing education credit hours every 2-year renewal cycle. Reason A is not correct. 12 hours is half the required amount for Maryland's 2-year cycle. Reason C is not correct. 18 hours is below the 24-hour requirement set by Maryland regulations. Reason D is not correct. 30 hours exceed the mandated 24 continuing education hours per cycle. Question 5. Which entity is responsible for approving continuing education courses for insurance producers in Maryland? A. Maryland Insurance Administration. B. Maryland Board of Education. C. National Association of Insurance Commissioners. D. Insurance Council of Maryland. The correct answer is A. This option is correct because the Maryland Insurance Administration has authority to review and approve all continuing education courses for insurance producers in the state. Reason B is not correct. The Board of Education oversees schools, not insurance CE approvals. Reason C is not correct. The NAIC provides model regulation, but does not directly approve state CE courses. Reason D is not correct. The Insurance Council is an industry group and does not have regulatory approval power. Question 6. In Maryland, a license that has been expired for more than 1 year may only be reinstated by which of the following? A. Submit a renewal application with late fee and proof of compliance within 12 months. B. Complete continuing education hours equal to those required and pay a penalty fee. C. Provide a written explanation for failure to renew. D. Reapply for a license and retake the licensing examination. The correct answer is D. This option is correct because licenses expired for over 1 year must be treated as new applications, including exam retake. Reason A is not correct. Reinstatement within 12 months is allowed, but after 1 year that process is not available. Reason B is not correct. CE completion and fee payment apply to shorter lapses, not beyond 1 year. Reason C is not correct. A written explanation alone does not meet reinstatement requirements after 1 year. Question 7. When applying for a producer license in Maryland, which type of conviction must be disclosed on the application? A. A felony conviction involving dishonesty or breach of trust. B. Any civil judgment for breach of contract. C. A minor traffic violation such as a speeding ticket. D. A misdemeanor unrelated to moral turpitude. The correct answer is A. This option is correct because applicants must disclose any felony conviction involving dishonesty or breach of trust when seeking licensure in Maryland. Reason B is not correct. Civil judgments are not required disclosures on the producer license application. Reason C is not correct. Minor traffic violations do not require disclosure under Maryland licensure rules. Reason D is not correct. Misdemeanors unrelated to moral turpitude are not disclosure requirements. Question 8. Which process must Maryland producer license applicants complete to satisfy the state's criminal background check requirement? A. Submitting fingerprints to the state's Criminal Justice Information System. Central Repository. B. Providing a DNA sample for forensic analysis. C. Furnishing personal references for character evaluation. D. Undergoing a polygraph examination. The correct answer is A. This option is correct because Maryland requires licensed applicants to submit fingerprints to the CJIS Central Repository for a criminal history review. Reason B is not correct. DNA samples are not required for Maryland insurance licensure background checks. Reason C is not correct. Personal references are not part of the statutory criminal history process. Reason D is not correct. Polygraph exams are not mandated by Maryland licensing regulations. Question 9. A Maryland insurance producer has entered into affiliation agreements with Insurer X and Insurer Y, but has not had any appointments filed. The producer begins placing policies for insurer X under the affiliation arrangement. According to Maryland law, which statement best distinguishes an affiliation from a formal appointment? A. Affiliation grants the producer the same statutory authority as a filed appointment. B. Affiliation is purely a private contractual arrangement, whereas appointment requires the insurer to file a notice with the commissioner. C. Affiliation must be approved by the commissioner, but appointment is handled internally by the insurer. D. Affiliation applies only to life and health producers, while appointment covers property and casualty lines. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that affiliation is a private contractual arrangement, and appointment refers to the formal filing by the insurer with the commissioner. Reason A is not correct. This is incorrect because affiliation does not confer statutory authority until an appointment is filed. Reason C is not correct. This is incorrect because appointment requires filing, not affiliation approval by the commissioner. Reason D is not correct. This is incorrect because affiliation versus appointment distinctions apply across all lines, not by product category. Question 10. Insurer Y signs a producer agreement with Jane, authorizing her to begin submitting applications in Maryland. Jane submits her first application on March 1st. Under Maryland regulations, within how many days from that submission must insurer Y file Jane's appointment with the Maryland Insurance Commissioner? A. 10 days. B. 15 days. C. 30 days. D. 60 days. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that the insurer must file the appointment within 15 days of the producer's first submission. Reason A is not correct. This is incorrect because the deadline is longer than 10 days under Maryland law. Reason C is not correct. This is incorrect because 30 days exceeds the statutory 15-day period. Reason D is not correct. This is incorrect because Maryland does not allow 60 days for appointment filing. Question 11. On June 1st, insurer Z immediately terminates its appointment of producer Andy. According to Maryland regulations, by what date must insurer Z notify the Maryland Insurance Commissioner of this termination? A. On the effective termination date. B. Within 15 days after termination. C. Within 30 days after termination. D. Within 60 days after termination. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that the insurer must notify the commissioner within 30 days of the termination effective date. Reason A is not correct. This is incorrect because immediate notice on the termination date is not required. Reason B is not correct. This is incorrect because the regulatory period is longer than 15 days. Reason D is not correct. This is incorrect because Maryland's deadline is shorter than 60 days. Question 12. Producer. Mark relocates his principal place of business within Maryland on April 5th. Under Maryland licensing rules, within what maximum period must Mark notify the insurance commissioner of this change of address? A. 10 days. B. 30 days. C. 45 days. D. 60 days. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that the producer must notify the commissioner within 30 days of changing the principal place of business. Reason A is not correct. This is incorrect because the reporting window is longer than 10 days. Reason C is not correct. This is incorrect because 45 days exceeds the maximum allowed period. Reason D is not correct. This is incorrect because Maryland does not permit up to 60 days. Question 13. Under Maryland's unfair discrimination laws in underwriting personal automobile insurance, which of the following factors is expressly prohibited for an insurer to use? A. Recent credit history. B. Driver's age. C. Geographic territory. D. Religious affiliation. The correct answer is D. This option is correct because Maryland law prohibits insurers from considering religious affiliation when underwriting personal automobile insurance. Reason A is not correct. Credit history may be used in rating under Maryland's credit-based insurance scoring regulations. Reason B is not correct. Driver's age is permissible for underwriting risk assessment in personal automobile insurance. Reason C is not correct. Geographic territory is an allowable underwriting factor based on loss experience in Maryland. Question 14. Which of the following best describes a permitted exception under Maryland's anti-rebating statutes? A. Providing an insured a $100 gift card for purchasing a new policy. B. Distributing an insurer-approved educational brochure at no cost. C. Offering to rebate partial commission to a policyholder. D. Waiving the first month's premium on a life insurance policy. The correct answer is B. This option is correct because Maryland law allows the distribution of insurer-approved educational materials without charge as an exception to the anti-rebating rules. Reason A is not correct. Gifting a card of monetary value violates rebating prohibitions under Maryland law. Reason C is not correct. Rebating commission to a policyholder is explicitly prohibited as an impermissible rebate. Reason D is not correct. Forgoing the first month's premium constitutes an improper inducement under anti-rebating rules. Question 15. Under Maryland law, twisting in the context of life insurance is defined as which of the following? A. Advertising a policy using exaggerated insurer financial ratings. B. Misrepresenting the terms or benefits of an existing policy to induce replacement. C. Rebating part of the agent's commission to the policy owner. D. Withholding vital policy exclusions in an advertisement. The correct answer is B. This option is correct because twisting is the willful misrepresentation of a policy to induce its replacement, which is prohibited under Maryland insurance regulations. Reason A is not correct. Exaggerating financial ratings in advertising is an unfair advertising practice, not twisting. Reason C is not correct. Rebating commission involves improper inducement, but is classified under rebating statutes. Reason D is not correct. Omitting exclusions in advertising may be misrepresentation, but does not specifically involve policy replacement. Question 16. Which of the following actions constitutes insurance defamation under Maryland law? A. Recommending an unsuitable policy based on misleading cost comparisons. B. Failing to provide a customer with a required policy summary. C. Overestimating a policyholder's premium to increase commission. D. Publicly asserting that a financially stable insurer is insolvent without evidence. The correct answer is D. This option is correct because making a false statement that an insurer is insolvent damages reputation and meets the definition of defamation under Maryland statutes. Reason A is not correct. Recommending a policy using misleading cost comparisons may be misrepresentation, not defamation. Reason B is not correct. Neglecting to supply a policy summary may violate disclosure requirements, but it is not defamation. Reason C is not correct. Overcharging a premium is an unfair trade practice, but it does not defame an insurer. Question 17. Which of the following is an example of an unfair claim settlement practice prohibited by Maryland law? A. Requesting necessary documentation to verify a claim's validity. B. Conducting a thorough investigation before issuing a claim denial. C. Paying a covered claim amount within 30 days of proof of loss. D. Failing to acknowledge a claim in writing within 15 days of notification. The correct answer is D. This option is correct because Maryland's Unfair Claim Settlement Practices statute prohibits failure to acknowledge receipt of a claim in writing within a specified time frame. Reason A is not correct. Requesting documentation is part of a valid claims investigation and is permitted. Reason B is not correct. Reasonable investigation prior to denial complies with the fair settlement practices. Reason C is not correct. Timely payment of a valid claim meets Maryland's settlement requirements. Question 18. Under Maryland insurance regulations, which practice would constitute an illegal boycott, coercion, or intimidation? A. A producer encouraging customers to purchase flood insurance after a major storm. B. An insurer offering discounted premiums to policyholders who use a preferred repair shop. C. An agent requiring additional background checks for high-value property risks. D. Two insurers agreeing to refuse coverage for homeowners in a specific flood-prone community. The correct answer is D. This option is correct because insurers colluding to refuse coverage in a targeted area constitutes an illegal boycott under Maryland law. Reason A is not correct. Suggesting flood insurance purchase is permissible advice, not coercive behavior. Reason B is not correct. Offering a discount for preferred repair shop use is a lawful incentive, not coercion. Reason C is not correct. Requiring background checks is a standard underwriting practice, not intimidation. Question 19. Which of the following describes the fiduciary duty of an insurance producer in Maryland with respect to premium handling? A. Commingling collected premiums with personal operating funds before remittance. B. Maintaining premiums in a separate fiduciary account until remitting to the insurer. C. Using held premiums to cover producer office expenses if commissions are delayed. D. Holding premiums indefinitely until the producer receives explicit insurer written instructions. The correct answer is B. This option is correct because Maryland law requires producers to keep premiums in a segregated fiduciary account and remit them promptly to insurers. Reason A is not correct. Mixing premiums with personal funds violates the statutory fiduciary duty. Reason C is not correct. Using premiums for office expenses breaches the requirement to safeguard insurer funds. Reason D is not correct. Indefinite retention of premiums violates the duty to remit premium promptly under state law. Question 20. An agent collects a client's premium payment, but deposits it into the agent's personal checking account before transferring it to the insurer's trust account. Under Maryland law, which violation has occurred? A. Misusing client funds for personal expenses. B. Rebating part of the commission to the client. C. Commingling client premiums with personal or business funds. D. Twisting the client into a new policy. The correct answer is C. Commingling occurs when an agent mixes client premiums with personal or business funds instead of keeping them in a separate trust account, as required by Maryland regulation. Reason A is not correct. Misusing client funds for personal expenses describes misappropriation, not commingling. Reason B is not correct. Rebating part of a commission is a separate violation involving inducements, not fund mixing. Reason D is not correct. Twisting refers to misrepresenting policy benefits to induce replacement, unrelated to fund handling. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below. We read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.